been expecting you. Are you the one that wanted the information about the investigation? Correct? I'll give you your information, alright? So sit. You asked me to investigate film noir? Well then now, that you're seated, let us begin. Film noir began in 1941 with Citizen Kane and the Maltese Falco. Citizen Kane's visual design featured shadows and low-key lighting to build up a darkness as well as ominous-looking world in the film. Films that are known for being dark, pessimistic, and often centers on crime in urban settings, emphasizing shadows on darkness, falling under the genre film noir. The conventions of film noir. Fatalism attitude. Film noir movies have a fatalism attitude. A character will often feel like their life is preordained and their free will is an illusion. Fatalism is expressed by one's transgression that spirals out of control. The average citizen character that has made a mistake that snowballs into much greater problems. Every attempt at correcting just made everything worse. This is often called a spiderweb of dissent in film noir. It can suggest hysteria and panic within a character. Voiceover narration. Voiceover narrations are common. This is due to the popularity of Freudian reading thought at the time. The voiceover narration film noir characteristic represents psychological reflection and introspection by a character. Femme fatale. The femme fatale female archetype originated in film noir. These female characters are independent, strength, and desire. A response to a brief destruction of the demure housewife stereotype. They are often used to emphasize the fatalism attitude in that the male character feels powerless to resist the woman. Often the femme fatale will enter a love triangle with a married man. Male protagonists. The male protagonists are often morally ambiguous. They are cynical, brooding, and obsessive. They lead a seamless existence as a private detective, gangster, or government agent, among others. In film noir, the struggle these characters undergo often ends in failure. The cinematography. The cinematography in film noir reinforces the darkness in the plot and the theme. Long, sharp shadows are used in film noir as well as inky blackness, tilted cameras, angles with a claustrophobic feeling to emphasize a nocturnal underworld. Sets and locations. Film noir sets have a gloomy feeling. Film noir often takes place in indoor space with low-key lighting. Blinds that often obscure windows, exterior scenes that include streets and alleyways, dark and wet. Flashing neon signs were popular to use in film noir. These types of sets were particularly due to wartime scarcity. Film noir story locations are urban. The characters will often be seen in murky streets, cheap and big city apartments, or hotel rooms. Abandoned warehouses are also seen in film noir as a characteristic setting. So, did you get that? Now it's your part of the deal to tell me the information about the Maltese Falcon.
Yes, I did. Allow me to begin. The Maltese Falcon is originally a book written by Dashiell Hammett, released in 1929. The book has 3 different movie adaptations, one in 1931 with the same title as the book, one in 1936 under the name of Sad and Metal Lady, and the adaptation of 1941, The Maltese Falcon. The adaptation of 1941 was the directorial debut of Johnny Huston. The story centers around a private detective named Sam Spade, portrayed by Humphrey Bogart. Mary Astor, as Ruth Wonderly, went to Sam Spade to help her on a case. She wants him to look for a man that might have taken her sister away from her family. However, when Sam Spade's partner, named Miles Archer, portrayed by Jerome Cowan, went to investigate the leads that Ruth Wonderly provided, Miles was shot and killed. After the death of Miles Archer, Sam Spade went to go meet up with Ruth Wonderly to confront her about the case and the lies she gave to Sam Spade and Miles Archer, which later led to Sam Spade getting involved with a complicated investigation full of dangerous people that was an object that was once considered to be a myth. The Maltese Falcon of 1941 expresses the values of self-moral because at this period of time, when the movie was released, people were on a financial crisis due to World War II. And people were willing to sacrifice their morals just to get money for themselves. A clear example of this is the last scene of the movie. The antagonist was trying to pay off Sam Spade with $1,000 to not tell the police officers of the crimes they have committed. which Sam Spade accepted the offer. However, soon after the antagonist left the room, Sam Spade called the officers on the criminals, and Sam Spade gave the money to the police officers as evidence against the criminal that tried to bribe him with money. This adaptation of the Motley Con changed the audience's view of trusting the people around them, because it can lead to betrayal. Even the person the protagonist loved the most can backstab him at any time. This movie helps alter the perspective of the audience by being cautious of characters that are willing to help the main character for their own interest, and are ready to betray anyone for their own sake. The film, The Maltese Falcon, set a standard for this new genre when it first released in 1941 by showing the audience a story of crime. Within the film, it showed values of betrayal and corruptions, along with changes of view on American streets. The Maltese Falcon set the foundations of the alienated and amoral protagonist, the beautiful and manipulating femme fatale, and the dark and disturbed urban setting that are common in this genre, that is film noir. An interview with Meta Wild. Meta Wild, who is Houston's longtime script supervisor, break down a 7-minute sequence of the Maltese Falcon. It was an incredible camera setup. Rehearsed for 2 days, the camera followed Greenstreet and Bogart from one room into another, then down a long hallway and finally into a living room. There, the camera moved up and down in what is referred to a boom up and boom down shot. Then pan from left to right and back to Bogart's drunken face. The next pan shot was to Greenstreet's massive stomach from Bogart's point of view. One miss and we had to begin all over again. And here, an interview with Danny Huston, the son of John Huston.
And then finally the projector light went on and the beam would cross the room through the cigar smoke and up would come these films. And Maltese Falcon was always a joy. That title sequence, and you saw the Falcon, you knew you were in for a good ride.
This is such a confident directorial debut from your dad. I mean, obviously he had the writer background, but everything that he's doing is quite complex and nuanced.
Yes, and it was meticulously prepared. Everything was very controlled, storyboarded. Of course, he left room for the actors to interpret certain moves, but everything was pretty worked out beforehand. And he had advice from Hawks, from William Wyler, from Walsh, and really applied everything that they taught him or advice that they'd given him to make this film. And every atom in it really is perfectly placed.
It seems we completed our exchange of information. Now leave. There's no reason for you to stay here any longer. Now!
So be it. I shall now leave. Before I do so, the higher-ups ordered me to do one final test.
What do you mean? I was not informed of this final task. What do you mean?